welcome to the barbecue toolbox. Hey, today's episode we're looking at doing a little cold weather cooking today. If you can't tell behind me, a little bit of snow and ice in the background. It's we can look at a little temperature check here. It's 36 degrees, so it's a little bit cold. It's chilly March weather here in mid-Michigan, and we're getting ready to do a little cook. Got a little pork butt going today. Easy cook, and what I'm going to show you today is how you can get this thing going out on the smoker, and then instead of sitting out here in the cold weather, bring it on into the house and finish it off in there. So that's what today's episode's all about. We'll go ahead and get this thing going right now. So to do a little cold weather cooking, one of the things we have to do is make sure we build a big enough fire to get our temperatures up. As you can see here, the amount of coals I put into the firebox here is quite a bit, maybe about twice as much as I'd normally put if I was cooking in the summertime. So one of the things you want to do is build a bigger fire to help offset the colder temperatures. And so today, getting this pork butt ready to go, you'll see here a couple things I did in terms of trimming. There's a spot of fat that's on the pork butt there. As you can see, I'm cutting off right here to remove that. It's got probably a couple glands and stuff in there. You just want to get that out of there. That'll just burn up and whatever. I don't want that in your finished product. The other thing you'll see me do here is I'm trying to trim around what we call the money muscle. I'm just removing a little bit of this fat here to try and get more rub around this part of the pork butt. Finally, as you can see, I'm just going to apply a pretty generous amount of my barbecue rub all over this pork butt and getting all sides evenly coated, and then just pat it down with my hands. There's no real rubbing it in, and then it should be ready to go out on the smoker. Running right at about 275 degrees pretty consistently. Been keeping the wood continuously going on, maybe about every half hour, 45 minutes or so. Get another log on there. Want to make sure I keep those temperatures up. Okay, we've been going on for about 2.5 hours now. Temperature's up to about 122 degrees internal temperature to this pork butt. So we probably got about another half hour or so, 45 minutes, and then I'm going to pull it off, wrap it in foil, and bring it into the house. It's going to be good enough. You can see here, looking at this, it's getting a little bit dark on some of the corners. So, you know, judging by color, I'm going to say it's probably just about ready to go. Give it another half hour, 45 minutes. There we go, we got it wrapped up. I usually like to use 3 layers of foil just in case I don't get a hole poking through it. And now we'll get it on the pan and we'll bring it up into the house. The oven's set at 230 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm gonna have it in there for about 3 hours. We'll see how it goes after that. Really checking by internal temperature, and then see once it gets up to about 203 degrees, then I'll go ahead and pull it out. It should be ready to go. Be nice and tender at that point. So here we go. We'll get it up into the oven and then set it and let it go and go do something else the rest of the day. Open up the oven. And one thing you notice here that I've done, and this is based on experience, is I've got a pan underneath it. Definitely make sure you have a pan underneath this when you put it in the oven, in case something happens where your aluminum foil gets a tear in it or whatever. You don't have pork fat running all over the inside of your oven. So always make sure to put a pan underneath. Just gonna go ahead and check it. It's been in there since, let's see, started at 1 o'clock. It's about 9 o'clock right now, so it's been in for 8 hours, and this thing's probably done. We're going to go ahead and give it a temperature check right now, and for anything over 203 degrees, we're going to go ahead and pull it out of here. Alright, so we're just going to probe it. See how easy it slid in there, so it's getting pretty tender. 207, 208 degrees, so it went a little bit over. This thing's ready to come out, and it's done. Okay, so whenever I make pulled pork, I have a couple of tools I like to use just about every time. One of the tools that I use for pulling the pork is these bear claws, and these work pretty good for getting in there and shredding that pork right up. You can also use a fork. You can even use your hands if you want to, but I find that these work pretty good, and I'll put a link down in the description below if you want to go check these out. They got them on sale at Amazon. You can go ahead and look those up there. And then also the other thing I like to use is this fat separator. So when you do is, I've got that wrapped up and it's got all the juice and fat and everything collected in the aluminum foil there, and you just pour that into here, and what will happen is it'll let all the juice settle to the bottom and the fat will settle to the top, and then it's got this little lever here which opens a hole up in the bottom, lets the juice drip back out and leaves the fat inside. Helps you put that juice back into the meat again once you're finished shredding it all up, and helps retain some of the moisture. So again, you can find this online, also Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to check that out. Pretty cool. Also use it for brisket. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and now get this thing pulled. First thing you do is you go ahead and you pull the bone out. The bone should come right out of here clean. Pretty much just like that. Meat falls right off. Really come right off clean. That's how you know you've got it cooked pretty much to perfection right there. So now what I like to do is then just go ahead and start pulling I like to just start pulling the muscle apart, and then I try to separate. If I got any big chunks of fat or grizzle or whatever, I'll separate those, and that way that doesn't end up in with the rest of my meat. You can see how tender this is. It's just basically falling apart, which is exactly what we want. And then as you can see, I got a pretty decent smoke ring on here. Even, it was in the smoker for about 3 hours, but came out pretty good. The rest of the time was in the oven. Dive in here with my bear claws, and these do a pretty good job of shredding up this meat. I think that's probably about good enough. And so, I'm going to go ahead and move this over to a pan. So now here's my fat separator, and if you can see here, the fat, there's kind of a line right across here. You can see where the fat's on the top, and the rest of this down in here is all just the juice from the pork. So what I can do is, I usually don't use all of it, but I do use some of it to go ahead and put some of this back into the meat. So you just kind of drizzle this over the top like that. Maybe give it a little shot more, and that's it. And the rest, so all the fat stays up on the top here, and you just let that juice drizzle back over the meat. So now I can just mix it up. I'll just kind of use my hands here. I'll mix that back up in there. And I mean, you can hear it, how juicy it is now. If you don't do this, you're gonna lose some of the moisture from this once you go ahead and pull it. So it's good to always save that and put that back into your meat. All right, now I'm gonna go and get in here and make a sandwich. So what I like to do is just put some on a bun. I I don't sauce up the whole pan. Let everybody put whatever sauce on it they want. So a pile of meat on there. Going for barbecue sauce. For me today, Sweet Baby Ray's is where it's at. That on there. There we go. Pulled pork sandwich. Yeah, I think that meat's so tender right now. I mean, it's just like melting in your mouth almost. Not that bad, but very tender. And the other thing is by putting that juice back into it, I mean, that's just, it's not dry at all. And then the sauce just adds, you know, to the little bit of moisture to it, and then some of the barbecue flavor from the sauce. Very good. I think this is the first time I've ever cooked one. Maybe the second time. Cooked it outside and then brought it in and finished it in the house. Maybe barbecue blasphemy here, but on a cold day like today, this worked out perfect. So, I mean, any day you want to, you know, maybe it's cold outside, or maybe you just got a lot of things to do. You can't be out there watching the smoker all day. Here's a way: take 2 or 3 hours, get some smoke onto that meat, and then take it, wrap it all up when it's ready to be wrapped, bring it in, get it in your oven, 225, 230 degrees, then let it just go low and slow in your oven the rest of the way, and it really turned out excellent. I mean, I can't complain. I mean, there's smoke flavor and there's moisture, and just really turned out. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Please go ahead and click the subscribe button if you want to see other videos like this in the future. And if you got comments on what do you think on kind of doing this cheating method of, you know, finishing up your barbecue up in the house, I'd like to get your comments on that as well. So hopefully you enjoyed this, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.